What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I want to go ahead and continue with this top 10 ABA players ranking. And just do a brief recap. At number 10, I had Louis Dampier. At number 9, I had Jimmy Jones. At number 8, I had the Roger Brown. At number 7, I had Dan Essel. At number 6, I have Connie Hawkins. Now, of course, in the NBA, we never saw the best of Connie Hawkins. He had a couple of great years with the Phoenix Suns, but then afterwards, he began to decline as a player. But even in the ABA, he did not reach that league until he was 25 years of age. And he should have had a Hall of Fame NBA career, but unfortunately, it was delayed, and his career was obviously tarnished. And when I say tarnished, I mean not just from the accusations, but because of his accomplishments were not there because he was barred. But he was tarnished because of a point shaving scandal. All right, but we still saw enough to see what he was capable of. So I want to look at his accomplishments as a player. He won the ABA championship in 1968, the first year of the ABA with the Pittsburgh Pipers, I believe they were called. He was the ABA playoffs MVP that year, and he was the ABA MVP that same season. He was a four-time NBA All-Star from 1970 to 73. He was an ABA All-Star in 1968. He's on the All-NBA First Team, 1970. Two times All-ABA First Team. He's on the ABA All-Time Team. His number 42 retired by the Phoenix Suns, the NBA. He was the ABL MVP in 1962 and All-ABL First Team 1962 and Mr. Basketball USA 1960 and First Team Parade All-American in 1960. When you combine his ABA and NBA numbers, he scored over 11,000 points, grabbed over 5,000 rebounds, and dished out 2,500 assists. His career averages are 18.7 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. However, when you look at his numbers differently, like when you look at him prime and his ABA numbers, they start jumping out at you. From 1967 to 1973, the Hawk averaged 22.8 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 4.3 assists per game on 48% shooting. But when you look at his ABA career, 28.2 points per game, 12.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 51.5% shooting from the floor, and got to the line 11.5 times per game in the ABA, and shot 76.5% from the charity stripe. Matter of fact, one of the players that I've compared him to that's playing in today's NBA, you probably heard me say this before, there were a lot of similarities between Connie Hawkins and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, Giannis is obviously a lot bigger, or not just a lot bigger, but he's bigger than Connie Hawkins. Connie Hawkins was like 6'8", maybe, 220? Let's see. Well, they have him listed as 210, but I think when he got older, he was about 220. And Giannis is 6'11", 250-ish, 260. So yeah, he's a lot bigger than Connie. But even still, Giannis is not a big, huge, hulking guy. He's big, but he's not like Shaq, you know what I mean? Or late stage Wilt. Big hulking guy. He's still big, but you know what I mean? Still has that athletic build. But anyway, Connie Hawkins was born in 1942 in Brooklyn, New York, in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, where he attended boys' high school and played for Coach Mickey Fisher. Hawkins soon became a fixture at Rucker Park, a legendary outdoor court where he battled against some of the best players in the world. Hawkins did not play much until after his junior year at Boys High. Hawkins was all-city first team as a junior as boys went undefeated and won New York's Public Schools Athletic League title in 1959. During his senior year, he averaged 25.5 points per game, including one game in which he scored 60. And boys again went undefeated and won the 1960 PSAL title. Hawkins then signed a scholarship offer to play at the University of Iowa. During Hawkins' freshman year at Iowa, he was a victim of the hysteria surrounding a point-shaving scandal that had started in New York City. Hawkins' name surfaced in an interview conducted with an individual who was involved in the scandal. While some of the conspirators and characters involved were known to or knew Hawkins, none, including the New York attorney at the center of the scandal, Jack Molinas, had ever sought to involve Hawkins in the conspiracy. Hawkins had borrowed $200 or $2,000 in current NBA current 2023 terms from Molinas for school expenses, which his brother Fred repaid before the scandal broke in 1961. The scandal became known as the 1961 college basketball gambling scandal. Despite the fact that Hawkins could not have been involved in point shaving as a freshman due to NCAA rules at the time, he was ineligible to participate in varsity level athletics. He was kept from seeking legal counsel while being questioned by New York City detectives who were investigating the scandal. Oh, racism, how great it is, right? He's not even playing because at the time freshmen were barred from playing in varsity level athletics, but you're asking him about point shaving in games that he's not even playing in. And you got evidence to show that his brother repaid the loan that he got for school purposes. But, he's a dad, whatever. I'm not going at that. As a result of the investigation, despite never being arrested or indicted, Hawkins was expelled from Iowa. He was effectively blackballed from the college ranks as no NCAA or NAIA school would offer him a scholarship. NBA Commissioner J. Walter Kennedy let it be known that he would not approve any contract for Hawkins to play in the league. At the time, the NBA had a policy barring players who were even remotely involved with point-shaving scandals. As a result, when his class was eligible for the draft in 1964, no team selected him. He went undrafted in 1965 as well, before being formally banned from the league in 1966. With the major professional basketball league having blackballed him, Hawkins played one season for the Pittsburgh Wrens of the ABL, an aspiring rival to the NBA, and was named the league's most valuable player. After that league folded in the middle of the 1962-63 season, Hawkins spent four years performing with the Harlem Globetrotters. During the time Hawkins was traveling with the Globetrotters, he filed a $6 million lawsuit against the NBA, claiming the league had unfairly banned him from participation and that there were no substantial evidence linking him to gambling activities. Hawkins' lawyers suggested that he participate in the new ABA as a way to establish his talent level as adequate to participate in the NBA, as well as having an immediate source of income. Hawkins joined the Pittsburgh Pipers in the inaugural 1967-68 season of the ABA, leading the team to a 54-24 regular season record and the 1968 ABA championship. Hawkins led the ABA in scoring that year and won both the ABA's regular season and playoff MVP awards. The Pipers moved to Minnesota for the 68-69 season and injuries limited Hawkins to just 47 games. Hawkins had surgery on his knee. The Pipers made the playoffs despite injuries to their top 4 players, but were eliminated in the first round of playoffs. Following the playoffs, the Pipers franchise moved back to Pittsburgh. Hawkins' lawyer, Rosalind Littman, and her husband, fellow lawyer S. David Littman, who was the brother of the Rens owner, filed an antitrust lawsuit against the NBA in 1966, arguing that the league and its owners blacklisted Hawkins. The NBA had refused to allow any team to hire Hawkins, who at the time the Littmans started working with while he was still playing for the Harlem Globetrotters. In the light of several major media pieces, most notably a Life magazine article written by David Wolf, establishing the dubious nature of the evidence connecting Hawkins to gambling, the NBA concluded it was unlikely to successfully defend the lawsuit. Seeking to avoid a defeat in court, which might jeopardize its ability to bar players who had actually participated in gambling, the NBA elected to settle after the 68-69 season and admit Hawkins to the league. The league agreed to a $1.3 million settlement in 1969. The league paid Hawkins a cash settlement of nearly $1.3 million, or $10.4 million in 2023 dollars, and assigned his rights to the expansion Phoenix Suns. He would be assigned to the Suns as a result of them winning a coin toss over the Seattle Supersonics, now of course the Thunder. Although the Pipers made a cursory effort to re-sign him, playing in the NBA had been a long-time ambition for Hawkins, and he quickly signed with the Suns. In 1969, still recovering from knee surgery in his final ABA season, Hawkins hit the ground running with the Phoenix Suns when he played 81 of 82 games and averaged 24.6 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 4.8 assists per game. He missed 11 games due to injury during the 1970-71 season, averaging 21 points per game. He matched those stats the next year and was the top scorer on a per-game basis for the Suns in the 71-72 season. He averaged a comparatively low 16 points per game for the Suns in the 72-73 season. Averaging 11 points in 9 games into the 1973-74 season and having been replaced in the starting lineup by Mike Bantam, Hawkins was traded from the Suns to the Lakers for Keith Erickson and a 1974 second-round selection, 31st overall, Fred Saunders, on October 30th. Injuries limited Hawkins' production in the 74-75 season, and he finished his career after the 75-76 season playing for the Atlanta Hawks. Due to knee problems, Hawkins played in the NBA for only 7 seasons. He was an All-Star for 4 of those years and was named to the All-NBA first team in the 69-70 season. His number 42 was retired by the Phoenix Suns. Despite being unable to play in the NBA when he was in his prime, Hawkins' performances throughout the ABL, ABA, and NBA helped get him elected to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame back in 1992. After his playing career, Hawkins retired to Phoenix, Arizona, and worked in community relations for the Suns for many years until his death on October 6, 2017, at the age of 75 from cancer. Connie Hawkins, one of the great players of the history of the NBA, and one of the great players in the history of the NBA, and his career would have been much greater, man, had he not have been unfairly blacklisted like that and blackballed by the NBA and the powers to be. And he helped to, even before Dr. J, Connie Hawkins was revolutionary in that he was probably the first player to really play above the rim in a forceful manner. I mean, you did have some guys like Gus Johnson, Honeycomb, and whatever, but you know, Connie Hawkins is one of the first guys that really helped to popularize and set the tone for what the ABA would be. And you know, he's one of those guys that was very influential, not only on NBA players when he went over to the ABA, went over from the ABA to the NBA, but then you had Dr. J, then you had David Thompson, you had all these other guys coming in, and they changed the way the game was played, which was a conservative on the ground game, jump shots and all that, to a game where guys just couldn't wait to get in transition because they wanted to show what they could do. They wanted to show how high they could jump in the air, and that's just how influential these guys were, Dr. J and many others. But before all of them, there was the Hawk. And if he had only been able to play from the get-go, from 1962 onward, I believe it was, if he had been able to play all those years, I mean, I think I did a video telling this before. I mean, he probably would have scored something approaching 20,000 career points. Had he been able to play from 1961-62 was his first season. So if you give him all the way to 1975, that's a 14-year career. No, 1976. That's a 15-year career. You know, the first couple of years, 28, 27, 30, 25. You know, some years he missed when he wasn't playing, probably averaging 26, 28. Yeah, this is a guy that probably would have finished with over 20,000 career points, over 10,000 rebounds, and probably over 5,000 career assists. He'd have been on par with one of the great players of all time. So anyway, tell me what you guys think.